right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Mr. Vikri, but I request you to stay on with us as we move on and tell you that US President Donald Trump is now planning to speak directly with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, despite Washington formally designating him as the head of a terrorist organization. The decision to engage in direct talks marks a shift in the US approach, with speculation growing that military action is not imminent. Sources within the Trump administration suggest the talks are part of a broader diplomatic strategy and emphasized that while military operations, including drug interdiction efforts, are ongoing, a military strike on Venezuela is not planned at this moment. The US has ramped up its military presence in Latin America, deploying warships, jets, and marines amid rising tensions. Trump's recent comments indicate that diplomacy may be prioritized over military action, with oil exports potentially playing a key role in future negotiations. Venezuela's oil, which is largely shipped to China, could be offered as leverage to the US in exchange for political concessions. Venezuelan officials, including Maduro, have expressed readiness for face-to-face talks with Washington, though any formal discussions have yet to be scheduled. Let's now bring back Mr. Raymond Vikri, beg your pardon, into the discussions. Mr. Vikri, it's interesting how the US has changed its stance as far as Maduro is concerned, but what really does he have to offer?
Well, thanks very much for allowing me to comment on this. There's much that can be offered. First of all, President Trump has used as an excuse, really, for the military action thus far, an attack on drug smuggling. He's talked about fentanyl. Actually, fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela or South America. Cocaine is what's being smuggled there. But Maduro can offer a more cooperative approach in regard to drug interdiction. He also can offer, in terms of the relationship with the Venezuelan opposition, a realistic path to return to democracy. Whether he's willing to do that or not is unknown. But the leader of the opposition in Venezuela, as you know, received a Nobel Peace Prize and there is a mechanism for being able to return Venezuela to something resembling what it had before, and that is a democracy. Now, oil, of course, is key, not so much for importation directly to the United States, but in terms of where that oil may be going and whether or not it supports U.S. Foreign policy goals. But here again, the real problem is the approach of the president to this as a transaction between two leaders. That's not the way in which you wage peace. You have to have the strategy. You have to have partners. Thus far, we do not. And there's been tremendous pushback in the United States to the approach of President Trump, this blowing of boats out of the water, in which President Trump is the prosecutor, judge, jury, and executioner, has received pushback. And so both in the Congress and more broadly. So President Trump is in some sense reacting to U.S. domestic pressure not to have another war started in South America.
Well, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, Mr. Vikri, here at NewsX World, and we appreciate your perspective. For now, viewers, let's move on and tell you that the United Nations has called for swift and impartial investigations into Israeli